It starts with a penny. Not a gold bar. Not a lottery ticket. A penny you've probably held 1,000 times, flipped across a counter, or left forgotten in a jar. But this one detail, so small it's almost invisible, has turned an ordinary Lincoln cent into one of the most whispered about coins in American numismatics. And if the stories are true, if the reports hold up, this single penny has been linked to values soaring into the hundreds of thousands, even brushing the edge of 7 figures. The year is 1967. No mint mark. Just a face you know by heart. And that's exactly why it's dangerous to ignore. Because what if the most valuable coin you'll ever own is already in your house? Picture this. A collector opens an old box. Inside are loose coins, brown with age. Nothing special. Until one cent catches the light just right. Something feels off. The surfaces look different. The details feel sharper. And under magnification, the truth begins to emerge. What looked ordinary suddenly becomes extraordinary. That's how legends begin. The 1967 Lincoln cent was struck during a turbulent moment in U.S. coinage history. The mint was under pressure. Coin shortages were real. The public was hoarding silver. And to calm the chaos, the U.S. Mint made a radical decision: remove mint marks entirely. Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, all struck coins with no mint mark at all. On paper, that makes the 1967 cent sound painfully common. Billions were minted. You can still find them in circulation today, but here's the twist. When systems are stressed, mistakes happen. And some mistakes are so subtle, so perfectly wrong, they slip through unnoticed, until years later, when they explode in value. Ask yourself this. What if no mint mark wasn't the story, but the distraction? Because buried within the 1967 Lincoln cent are error varieties that have stunned experts and set auction rooms buzzing. Double dies that don't scream at you, but whisper. Die clashes frozen in copper. Off-metal strikes so rare they challenge official records. And even enigmatic special mint set strikes, produced with experimental finishes, sharper rims, and satin-like surfaces that separate them from ordinary cents like night from day. Most people spin them. A few people keep them. Almost no one checks them closely enough. And that's where the cliffhanger tightens. Some 1967 cents show doubling so clean it looks intentional, extra thickness in the date, subtle separation in Lincoln's profile, a strange echo in the lettering of Liberty. Not the cartoonish doubling of famous varieties, but the kind that rewards patience. The kind that hides in plain sight. Then there are the surfaces. A normal cent from 1967 looks dull, grainy, unremarkable. But certain examples? Smooth, satiny, almost proof-like. These are believed to be from special mint sets, struck under different conditions, with fewer surviving in top grades than many classic rarities from the 1800s. Here's where the story takes a sharp turn. Condition changes everything. A worn error is interesting. A pristine one is explosive. In the upper reaches of the grading scale, MS67, MS68, and beyond, the population drops off a cliff. We're talking about coins with virtually no contact marks, blazing luster, and razor-sharp details. Coins that look like they were struck yesterday, not nearly 60 years ago. And when rarity collides with condition, the market does something wild. Auction records and reported private sales have tied top-tier 1967 Lincoln cents, especially those with confirmed errors or special mint set characteristics, to eye-watering numbers. Headlines have circulated about elite examples commanding prices as high as $844,000 in top condition. Some valuations, tied to hypothetical perfect specimens paired with dramatic mint errors, have even pushed into 7-figure discussions. Are these everyday prices? No. Are they guarantees? Absolutely not. But they are proof of one thing. The ceiling is far higher than anyone ever expected for a coin most people ignore. Think about that for a moment. A penny you could pull from a drawer. A coin your parents might have saved without a second thought. Suddenly competing, in the right circumstances, with rare gold and silver icons of American history. And the suspense deepens, because the most valuable coins aren't the loud ones. They're the quiet anomalies. The cents that don't look wrong until you know what right looks like. The ones that require a loop, good lighting, and a little obsession. What if you've already handled one and never knew it? What if the difference between spending and selling came down to a few microns of metal, a split serif, a satin sheen? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The vast majority of valuable 1967 cents were not discovered by professionals. They were found by regular people. Retirees. Hobbyists. Folks cleaning out basements. People just like the ones watching this right now. People who decided to look closer. And that's the final revelation of this story. The 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent isn't valuable because it's old. It isn't valuable because it's famous. It's valuable because it hides its secrets well and rewards those willing to search. Every great treasure story shares that theme. The map is incomplete. The clues are subtle. And the prize goes to the patient. So, the next time you see a penny from 1967, don't shrug. Don't assume. Don't dismiss it as pocket change. Turn it over. Tilt it under the light. Study the date, the lettering, the surface. Ask the question most people never ask. What if this one is different? Because somewhere out there, maybe in a jar, maybe in a drawer, maybe already in your hand, is a small copper coin that could rewrite someone's financial future. And the only way to know is to look. It sounds impossible. A single penny. Not gold. Not ancient. Not buried treasure. A penny you might have tossed into a jar, lost in a couch, or spent without a second thought. And yet, this 1-cent coin has been whispered about in collector circles with a mix of disbelief and obsession. A 1968 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. A coin so ordinary on the surface, so overlooked for decades, that it became the perfect hiding place for one of the most shocking value stories in American numismatics. What if I told you that a penny struck in 1968, the same year millions of Americans watched the world change on black and white televisions, has been reported to sell for as much as $844,000 in top condition? What if some experts believe that the right example, with the right hidden errors, could be worth far more? And what if one of these coins could still be sitting quietly in circulation, waiting? This isn't hype. This is history colliding with human error. And it all starts with a year that changed everything. In 1968, America was tense, divided, and distracted. The Vietnam War raged on. Protests filled the streets. The U.S. Mint was under pressure to produce massive quantities of coins as inflation rose and demand exploded. Speed mattered. Volume mattered. Perfection did not, and that's when mistakes slipped through. The 1968 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia, the main workhorse of the U.S. Mint. No mint mark meant nothing special at the time. In fact, it meant common. Billions were produced. Pennies poured out of presses day and night. Metal blanks fed into machines that were pushed to their limits. But here's the twist most people miss. When a mint is running at full throttle, dies wear down. They crack. They shift. They double. They clash. And sometimes, just sometimes, a flawed die strikes coins again and again before anyone notices. That's how legends are born. At first glance, a 1968 no-mint mark penny looks identical to countless others. Abraham Lincoln face is right. The date is clean. The surface seems normal. This is why so many were ignored for years. Collectors chased flashier coins. Silver dollars. Gold pieces. Obvious rarities. Meanwhile, These pennies hid in plain sight. But under magnification, the story changes. Some 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln cents exhibit dramatic double die errors. Not the kind you need imagination to see, but bold, unmistakable doubling in the lettering. Liberty appears thicker, almost vibrating. In God We Trust shows separation so clear it looks like a shadow left behind by the press itself. The date can appear doubled, as if time itself stuttered when the coin was struck, and then there are the die cracks. Then at first, hairline fractures running through Lincoln's portrait. Over time, those cracks grow heavier, forming raised lines of metal that no engraver ever intended. Each crack is a fingerprint, proof that the coin was struck during a very specific, very brief moment in minting history. Here's the chilling part. The more dramatic the error, the fewer coins exist. And the fewer that exist, the more collectors will pay to own one. Now imagine finding one preserved in near-perfect condition. No heavy wear, no corrosion, original copper luster still glowing after decades. A coin that somehow escaped pockets, cash registers, and asphalt. That's where the number stops sounding real. High-grade examples of rare 1968 no-mint mark error cents have reportedly stunned the market. In elite auctions, where wealthy collectors compete not with logic but with obsession, prices have surged into six figures. One reported sale, tied to an exceptional specimen with extraordinary eye appeal and prominent errors, reached an astonishing $844,000. Let that sink in. $844,000 for 1 cent, and some experts quietly speculate that if the right coin surfaced today, the right die state, the right error combination, the right pristine condition, the ceiling might not even be known yet. Why? Because demand keeps growing. The generation now entering serious coin collecting grew up hearing stories like this. Stories of ordinary people finding extraordinary value. Stories where luck meets knowledge. Stories where attention pays. And this coin checks every psychological box. It's affordable to search for. It's old, but not ancient. It's American. It's tied to a turbulent year. And it carries the ultimate fantasy, the idea that life-changing money could already be in your possession. But here's the cruel irony. Most people never look closely enough. They assume no mint mark means no value. They assume pennies are worthless. They assume the treasure has already been found. That assumption is what keeps these coins hidden. Even now, collectors report discovering new examples in inherited collections, estate jars, forgotten rolls, and old bankrupt pennies that sat untouched for decades. Every discovery sends a ripple through the market. Every confirmed error adds fuel to the fire. And every time one is certified by a top grading service, the question echoes louder. How many are still out there? Think about the odds. Billions were made. Only a tiny fraction carry the right errors. And even smaller fractions survived in high grade. And only a handful have been recognized for what they truly are. This isn't about gambling. It's about awareness, knowing what to look for, understanding that history doesn't announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it whispers through a misaligned letter, a doubled word, a crack in metal no one was supposed to see. Imagine holding a penny and realizing it's not just copper. It's a mistake frozen in time. A moment when the most powerful mint in the world slipped and created something priceless. That's the magic of the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. It doesn't shout. It waits. So the next time you see a jar of old change, pause. The next time you get pennies back at a store, look twice. When you inherit a box of coins, don't rush. Because history doesn't always wear gold. Sometimes it's brown. Sometimes it weighs just 3.11 grams. Sometimes it's been in your hands all along. And if you ever spot that subtle doubling, that strange raised line, that coin that just feels different, you might not just be holding a penny. You might be holding the most underestimated fortune in American coin history.